anything you apply for, you got approved for it. Okay. And do you remember any of the limits on any of those cards?
I think they were at least 500.
Okay.
And then when I got my first actual credit card, maybe I was 19, and that was about 1,500.
Okay, so your first credit card at 18, you said?
18 or 19.
18 or 19 was
like
$1,500.
It was like a, not Capital One. What was the other one? The other company.
Was it Credit One?
Not Credit One. I don't. They have them all. Well, they don't have them anymore as much, but it wasn't Capital One. I'll have to think of it.
Okay, so that's the reality of it with you. See, so when I got approved for my first one, because I didn't have any credit established, they only gave me a limit of $300 at 23. You at 19, when you got your first credit card, was $1,500. And a lot of that is because you were an authorized user at 16 with your mom. So for 2 years on your credit profile, or 3 years when you apply for that other credit card, it showed that you had a history of making payments, even though it was your parents. And that's a whole nother trick with regards to what I recommend those of you who are listening. If you are responsible with credit, you have credit cards, you can put your kids as an authorized user. You don't necessarily have to give them a card. The card will come and you can rip it up, but you can start establishing your kid's credit at 16. Like I plan on doing with my daughter. I don't plan on giving her the actual card itself, but I do plan on reporting her as an authorized user so that when she's 18, 19 years old, obviously with education, that she'll be responsible, and when she applies for her first credit card, she'll get $1,500 to $3,000 versus your typical $300 to $500 credit at that time spent. Okay, and so let's move forward. So we met each other, right? And at the time when I met you, and we started talking about finances, my credit was horrible. My credit, I owed a lot. I had like a repossession on not a repossession on a car, but I had a default on a car payment. That credit card that I was telling you guys about, that was $300. I remember one time I was going to actually pay it all off. I had some money to pay it off. This was probably like in 2010 or 11. And when I went to go pay it off, I remember going online and I was about to pay it off. They gave me an increase of $3,000. And at that time, I had a car that I financed and I paid on it. I almost paid it off. I had like 4 payments on there. So my FICO score went up. Didn't understand anything about that, but I remember looking, got the limit of $3,000, and I was like, well, shoot, there ain't no need of paying. And within 2 3 months, that car was charged and maxed all the way out because I didn't understand anything with regards to that. But, and so that card I ended up owing. I had 2 other credit cards that had like $1,000 balances that I charged up and never paid, and then I had the car, so my FICO score was very low and was messed up at that time. But I knew I wanted to get it back on board. At that time, where were you at?
My credit was also horrible. I had several credit cards at this point, some of which I opened, some of which I allowed others to do so. So. They were all maxed out.
Right.
I did try on some to pay the minimum payment, but with just life, and sometimes I wouldn't pay. And
right.
It was just a whole bunch. And I didn't, tell my mom didn't know because I
right.
knew she would be like upset.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to hear a lecture. And so I didn't know how bad my credit score was, but I knew it was a problem because people were calling my phone.
Okay, so you had collectors calling. Okay. So,
and other people's phones. So my mom ended up finding out because they called the house. And she was like, what happened? And I'm like, trying to tell her, and she's just like, why, this is crazy. And yeah. But I don't think she knew the severity. She just knew because a couple people were calling.
Right. Okay, and then, obviously we met, and so within meeting and getting serious, I knew my credit was messed up. I wasn't sure about her credit. I think you did have a credit card at the time, but they were sort of kind of maxed out or whatever the circumstances. And so now at this time, so it's about 2013, is now, just for you guys to understand, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. At that time span, I've probably been in it for about 7 years. So I've been on the opposite side, where I was actually one of those people calling people to pay their debt. Yet I still didn't understand exactly what credit was, how it worked out, and what transpired from it.